Hello, Grapperinos, and welcome to another exciting episode of Probably Next Week on Smackdown. I'm Bryon, and once again joined by a man who is very excited to watch Clash in Paris on Sunday. Mike, say hi, Mike.
Hello. I just want to say that this time we missed Raw because it was my fault. So last week it was Brian's fault, and this week it was my fault. So we had a bit of an equalizer now. We both have a missed episode of Raw because of us. So we're even. We're even now. We're even.
Is this gonna lead to a point where if we miss an episode, do we just like subtract a bunch of points or something? If it's our fault? I don't know. There's gotta be
I don't know.
some kind
We
of
can determine
consequence.
that. We can determine that at some point. Yes.
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. But it's not Raw, it's SmackDown, and it's a go home show. Clash in Paris is this Sunday, don't you know? And I don't know why I'm singing like Road Dogg, but we are gonna book the next episode, or I suppose the go home show for SmackDown, and we are gonna do it according to these rules. You know the rules. The first one is crossed out because hey, they're in Europe, so they have liberal license to just get anyone on the show, both shows. I don't know, just get someone, and with that, they'll do the show. And after we tell you our predictions and bookings for this here go home show, we're gonna watch the go home show for SmackDown as we lead into Clash in Paris on Sunday. And we are going to score our predictions and bookings based on this scoring system. And we will then tell you our points on the next episode of this here show. Not the SmackDown show, but this show. Yeah. Alright, well, let's go to the points from last time. I got 9 points. And I got them because of a couple of things that involve a couple of participants in a couple promos. I also got one of the matches right, and that's about it. How about you, Mike? You got 7 points here?
Yeah, I got most of my points from the Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes stuff and the Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax stuff. It feels like they want to shoehorn Nia Jax back into Tiffany Stratton's feud. So I won't be surprised. It seems like the women's division is much stronger on Raw than it is on SmackDown, really.
Yeah.
If you think about it. But
yeah, I agree. Yeah. You know what? Why don't we have the women's championship be on both brands and not separate? Just one title. Separate, kind of like the tag team championships. Like the tag teams on Raw, not a lot there. Whereas on SmackDown, it's a lot more lively. So why not just make the tag team championships just like carry over 2 shows, kind of like the women's tag team championships? But you know what? We're not the company. So there you go. What the hell do we know? We're going to move on now to what is announced for the Go Home show. We got Solo Sikoa versus Sami Zayn for the US Championship. We got the Street Profits versus Mello Don't Miz in a #1 contendership match for the Tag Team Championships. And finally, we have Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss as they take on the Secret Hervis for the Women's Tag Team Championship. And so, without further ado, let's book this thing and get to my version of the show. As John Cena walks to the ring, he talks about his match with Logan Paul in Clash in Paris and the beatdown that he suffered from last week. He says that he may be down, but he's not out, and that he's going to defeat Logan Paul at Clash in Paris. He is going to make sure that he is still the GOAT after all these years, even after the beatdown that he suffered at the hands of Logan Paul last week. Instead of Logan Paul, however, I'm going to have Nick Aldis come out. If you remember last week on SmackDown, Nick Aldis told John Cena that Brock Lesnar has something to say to him before he got beat down, or I should say beat up, by Logan Paul. And Nick Aldis comes out now and says that he heard from Brock Lesnar last week, and I know that you are focused on Logan Paul right now, but he says that he wants to challenge you for a match at WrestlePalooza next month, and that if Logan Paul doesn't beat the ever-living crap out of John Cena and doesn't leave the ring the winner, he at least softens up John Cena so Brock can finally do what he does best, which is beat up John Cena each and every time. He says Brock will see him at WrestlePalooza, and that is that. That is the announcement. As Nick Aldis goes to the back, John Cena is, I don't know, confused, sad, maybe having some feelings, and then he is then attacked by Logan Paul. He just beats him down, and because John Cena suffered some damage from last week, he is down and out, and Logan Paul's on top as we begin the show with that. We're going to move on to Solo Sikoa versus Sami Zayn for the US Championship, and we're going to have Sami Zayn win by pinfall because of Jimmy Uso and Sheikh Fatu as they interrupt the distraction from the MFTs. I don't know who from the MFTs will show up, but oh, it's right there. So JC Mateo, Kangaloa, Oingo Boingo over there with the afro. But yeah, Sami Zayn is going to win. I think they'll use this as a trial for Sami Zayn to get his title and continue his run there as US champion.
Oingo Boingo is like so tall that he's cut out of the shot.
Yeah. He is very tall. He's almost like Great Khali sized, I guess. But yeah. But anyway, Sami Zayn's going to win, I think, and he's going to have a run with the US Championship. As we move on from that to Damian Priest versus Aleister Black. And this happens because instead of R-Truth showing up to have a match against Aleister Black, Damian Priest shows up and brawls him instead because apparently R-Truth landed in the wrong city again. Great. So, we're going to have this match, and we're going to have Damian Priest win after Aleister Black gets a message from R-Truth on the screen saying that he landed in the wrong Paris, and we're going to insert some other town that's Paris, that's not really in France, but in some other country. I'm pretty sure there's a city out there called France, or France, or Paris, or whatever, which is not in France at all. So, we're going to have Damian Priest win there and get that 50-50 booking so that we get a blow-off match at some point. And we're going to move on from that to a tag team match between some women as Julia and her representative, or I should say her lawyer, Kiana James, as they take on Michin and BFAB. And this happens because last week they had a bit of an interaction, and that led to this match. And I'm gonna have Michin roll up Kiana James, which will then lead to Michin versus Julia for the Women's US Championship. Maybe next week, maybe at WrestlePalooza, I don't know. But it will lead to a match between Michin and Julia because of that roll up. And there you go. And Julia can keep her title because Michin is not believable enough to take it from her. So, too bad. Go back to the back of the line, Michin. We're going to move on from that to Tiffany Stratton versus Nia Jax for the Women's Championship. Listen. I know this may be too early, but the fact that there are 3 championship matches on this go-home show, and the fact that they're in France, means that you might as well add another one. And I think it's just leading up to this point now. So you might as well take the load off and have another credible challenger for Tiffany Stratton to take on. So I'm going to have Tiffany Stratton versus Nia Jax here. And I'm going to have Tiffany win by pinfall. Why not? And we're going to have Jade Cargill intervene too. After the match, Jade Cargill comes out to congratulate Tiffany, but I'm guessing she will be challenging her for the title in the near future. And we're going to move on from that to the number one contenders match between the Street Profits and Mellow Don't Miz. I'm gonna have Mellow Don't Miz win by pinfall, which will lead to Mellow Don't Miz versus the Wyatt Six for the tag team championships, and I'm gonna have the Wyatt Six retain that time. And as Mike said last time, it's probably gonna lead to a breakup between Carmelo Hayes and The Miz, or they could win, and the fans could cheer, I guess. But no, I'm gonna go towards the Wyatt Six winning that fight there. Moving on to the Women's Tag Team Championship match between Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss as they take on the Secret Harvest. And I'm going to have Charlotte and Alexa win. They're going to retain their championships. We have a beatdown by Secret Harvest after the match. And then we're going to have Zelina Vega come in to even the odds because Zelina Vega has a bit of a history with Chelsea Green and the Secret Harvest. So I'm going to have her come in. To even the odds, I'm guessing this might go to a 6-woman tag team match next week. I don't know. I mean, the week after the Go Home show. But yeah, that is what I have there. And we're going to end with Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. This happens because last week, Randy Orton RKO'd Drew McIntyre after Drew McIntyre said some stuff. And that's why we have it here as the main event. And we're gonna have, because Drew is basically the challenger to Cody, we're gonna have Drew win by pinfall. He says some stuff about Cody, and he basically says it to the camera. You know, after he beats up Randy Orton, he says something like, you know, Cody, this is the beating I'm gonna give you once you have your match. And we're gonna have Cody come out and basically just brawl with Drew McIntyre. And then I guess we're gonna have Nick Aldis come out and say that, hey, you know what? You guys want to fight? You guys want to fight for the title? Let's have it at Clash in Paris. And there you go. Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes is made as a match at Clash in Paris. And we're going to have them continue brawling, and Drew is on top as the show goes off the air. A little bit of a claymore to Cody as the show wraps up. Any questions?
So this is basically what I had last week, but you're putting it this week.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm inspired by your ideas.
Yeah, I have a similar bent, but I changed up for this week. I actually, I'll go into my card after, but yeah, I had a lot of predictions from last week as well.
All right.
So
you want to head into that, or
yeah. Okay. Let's go.
Yeah, all right. No questions. Just gonna go to the next card thingy. Yep. Starting off with
Drew McIntyre promo. I have the exact same thing that I said last week, because I think that if they're going to do anything, they're going to do it today, or actually Friday, not today. But yeah, so Drew McIntyre comes out. He goes on a rant about Cody Rhodes. Comes out with Logan Paul, by the way, too. And he calls out Cody. He wants a title fight at Clash in Paris. This is so that they can have a big championship title fight at Clash in Paris ever since Big Jim gave Naomi the pin, and we don't have a women's title fight at Clash in Paris anymore. So we need a big title fight for Clash in Paris, and this is what it's going to be. Cody comes out, he accepts, and Drew and Logan Paul start to beat up Cody, and then John Cena comes out to save Cody Rhodes from the two. Cody and Cena end up on top, and there is a main event booked for this episode of SmackDown, which is Cody and Cena versus Drew and Logan.
I feel like this match has already been done. The reason why I did not have... See, that was the other thing I was thinking of, but that match has already been done so many times that I don't think they're going to reach to that point.
They haven't done Cody and Cena versus Drew and Logan yet, have they?
They have.
They
I think
have?
it was
No. That was just Randy Orton and Jelly Roll, and then they had Randy and Cody.
I'm pretty sure
You're
that
thinking
was
Randy, I think.
no, it was after SummerSlam. The first SmackDown after SummerSlam. They had Drew
Oh,
and
yeah, you are right. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh
whatever.
well. They like to run shit back. You know this. You know this.
Yeah, there you go. All right, sure. So, do you think Cody retains here? I mean, I don't. I feel like I've
Yes.
asked this question, but
Yeah, I think Cody retains. This is a pretty spot booking because of what happened with Naomi. So
yeah.
I think that Cody retains here, and then Drew gets his title reign at some time later down the line. So
All right, cool. And then Cena can go on and face Brock Lesnar at WrestlePalooza, or whatever. Moving on, moving on.
okay, we have Mellow Don't Miz versus the Street Profits for the WWE Tag Team Championship #1 contenders match. This, I think, is a win for Mellow Miz. I think they get their tag team title shot against the Wyatt Six. I don't know if you've seen, but in these matches that Mellow Miz have, the Wyatt Six seem to show up and stare at the Miz. So I don't know what's going on with that, but I think that somehow ends in maybe a Miz heel turn. Maybe the Miz joins the Six and he becomes the Sizz, the Mix.
The scissors.
I don't know, but I think this turns in a Miz heel turn,
Yeah,
and yeah.
I didn't really think of the Wyatt Six stuff and their relationship with the Miz, but yeah, I think this influence on the Miz from the Wyatt Six is eventually going to result in a heel turn from the Miz. He breaks off from Carmelo Hayes, and we got that happening. Uh, Also, by the way, Street Profits. I think they're called the Street Parfaits. I don't know if they're in France, so there's a special pronunciation. It's Street Parfaits. I suppose
Street
would be
Puffy, the Street
Parfait.
Puffy,
Ah, yes, or street baguettes. Baguettes are sold in
the
the
Street
street.
Brigettes. Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree that this will result in a heel turn from the Miz after the breakup, and the Miz can stay in the back while Carmelo, gets a singles career out of it. Hopefully, he gets the push that he needs. Unlike someone on Raw who definitely does need that, but yeah, it makes sense. Moving on to
A Julia promo. So apparently Julia can't really speak English that well. So they've given Kiana James as sort of her manager slash uh like translator or something. Um so I think what happens here is she comes out with Kiana James and basically almost short of opens an issues an open challenge for the U.S. Championship. I saw that Julia is featured for this show, so I'm thinking this is where they're going with it because I don't know where else the fuck they're going with this. Because Julia has probably had the easiest title reign of any champion I've ever seen in my life because she has not showed up for work in like a month.
you can blame Road Dogg for that.
Yes. So I think what happens here is that it's the typical championship contender breakdown where one person after another comes out, interrupts their own promos, and they get into a shouting match. I think this is BFAB and then Michin and then Zelina Vega. The reason why the reason why Chelsea Green isn't here is because she has a match. She's involved in a match later, and BFAB and Michin are also featured on the show as well. So I think this becomes a #1 contendership match as booked after this, as scuffed as. And the other reason why I think this happens just because this is a go home show, so they're going to be using a lot of the B talent.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, definitely for sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. And that number one contendership match for the women's U.S. Championship is
Is
after that.
next.
Yeah.
Yes, it is Zelina Vega versus BFAB versus Michin. And I think Michin actually wins this via a roll up. Um, I don't think Zelina wins because I don't know, maybe they want to give someone else a shot, possibly. I think they want to maybe build up Julia a little bit, possibly. So I think you feed her someone easier like Michin. Because if she just up and lost to Zelina again, then it'd be a really weak looking Reign, honestly. So,
Yeah.
and this probably happens on an episode of SmackDown somewhere or something. Who the fuck knows? I
Okay.
don't know.
Sure thing. Hey, I mean the women's U.S. Championship field is not that great exactly because the women's division in SmackDown is not that great either. I did notice on the SmackDown roster page on Wikipedia, so it may be wrong, but Bianca Belair is listed as SmackDown. She is part of the SmackDown roster. Do you think she could be putting into this field, I guess?
For the U.S. Championship,
Yeah.
no, I think she goes after the women's championship again. She's still a headliner. She's still a upper card talent. So I don't think she goes down that far
Okay.
yet.
All right, that makes sense. All right, we're going to move on from that to
Women's Tag Team Championship match: Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair versus Secret Hervis. Thank you for coming, Secret Hervis, but I don't think they win here. It's a very easy win by a pinfall for the champions. And yeah,
yep.
so I think this is just to build them up. I don't know who goes out. Probably Rhea and Io if that ever kicks off, which I
Oh
don't
yeah.
think it will because of Naomi being Prego. So I don't know who they have come after them next, but yeah.
Let's get an NXT women's tag team. And is Sol Ruka still teaming up with that woman
I have no
Zarya?
idea. I don't watch NXT. I don't watch NXT.
Okay.
Oh,
I was just saying someone from NXT might be able to do it. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know where Secret Harvest go from here though. And Chelsea Green. I forget her name already. Where do you think they
uh,
go?
maybe after the U.S. Championship again, possibly after Julia gets fed another opponent. Maybe Chelsea Green tries to take it back again.
Hmm. So not even like the upper card for the women's championship. I think Chelsea Green.
Oh,
Really? You don't think
Chelsea's a
so?
comedy act, man. She's not gonna go that high.
Okay.
I
All
mean,
right.
maybe one night it's like a thing, just for fun. But I don't think she ever gets upper card. I think she's a comedy act, man. There's no way she gets that
Okay.
high.
Yeah.
The comedy gimmicks have a very low ceiling. They have a high floor, low ceiling.
Yeah. I mean, now that I think about it, El Grande Americano is still speed champion, right? He's not, he hasn't he hasn't gotten any other title besides the speed championship. You know,
Yep.
the
Yep.
title no one cares about. So anyway, we're gonna move on from that to
Solo Sikoa versus Sami Zayn for the U.S. Championship. Now, I know I previously said that Sami Zayn probably takes this because
oh
it's a trial run as him as a champion. But I think they probably want to milk this a little bit longer and maybe book this at Survivor Series or maybe WrestlePalooza as like a street fight or something. Um, so I think that Sammy wins this fight, but he wins it via disqualification thanks to the MFTs.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So,
Yes.
huh? You're gonna stretch this
So
out.
this the
I
the,
mean,
the MFTs interfere. Solo Sikoa gets DQ'd, so he keeps the championship. But Sami Zayn wins via DQ. He gets beat down. Then LA Knight comes in at the end to save Sami from the beatdown because LA Knight is also featured for this show as well.
oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you just
Okay.
look on the dub site. You look on their site for
Yeah.
their show, and it just shows you like who the featured superstars are,
Oh,
and
great.
those are almost guaranteed to appear. Yeah, yeah, giving you
Yeah.
some inside baseball. There you go.
LA Knight, yeah. No, that's why we have the first rule kind of struck out because he has been on Raw for a while.
He's been
So
on both. Yes,
he's
yeah.
been on both, yeah. That's the push, Mike. That's the push that they're doing. They're pushing LA Knight. Don't you see? And then they're gonna bury him at Clash of
Yep,
Paris.
yep.
So enjoy the coverage of LA Knight on both shows, my friends. But moving back to the US Championship situation, who is next? Well, okay, so you're saying that this feud is gonna continue until Survivor Series? Okay. Who do you
Probably or
think?
WrestlePalooza maybe,
Yeah.
and they like are the MFTs from ringside.
Okay. All right. Then who do you think is going to go after it after Solo Sikoa? How do you see the future, like after Survivor Series, maybe, or WrestlePalooza, as you say? Like, who will be the next opponent? Could you see like a Randy Orton, or
Or also
would
Crown
you
Jewel. I forgot
see?
the Crown Jewels in between then too.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're
I
building
keep
up
forgetting that
towards
like
three
Survivor
shows.
Series is almost in Survivor Series is like in almost December, right? Yeah.
November.
Because
Yeah.
WrestlePalooza is next month.
Yep.
And then after that it's Crown Jewel in Australia, right? And then it's Survivor Series.
Gotta love that monthly content. Am I right? Yeah. They're building up towards like three shows, and it's a pain in the ass. But whatever. Gotta make the sponsors happy.
Content, content, content.
Content. Gotta make content. But okay. So would you see like a Randy Orton going after that title? Would you see like Damian Priest or Aleister Black? Like who do you think is next after Sami?
Probably Aleister Black. Yeah, Aleister Black, Damian Priest, I think, are in that picture. Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. We're gonna move on from that to the main event that he mentioned
Main
earlier.
event is
Yep.
Cody Rhodes, John Cena versus Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. I think Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul win via disqualification because Randy Orton RKO's Cody.
Whoa.
Then he goes on to also RKO basically everyone else in the ring except for John Cena who manages to escape. And I think this is where he makes his big heel turn.
Okay. Before we even get to that, can I just say
Yes.
I took the picture of Logan Paul from the WWE page. Notice that
I'm
on
now
his
noticing that he does have the Charizard card
so it's official.
as
It's
I
official.
was about to comment that, and I was like, "Does he have a fucking Pokemon card as his necklace? What is going
Yeah,
on?"
that is. I think that's a Charizard. Yeah, but yeah, he does have a Pokemon card as a thing that he wears as a bracelet. So I guess it's official what John Cena said last week about him, getting Pokemon cards and stuff. But yeah, about the Randy Orton heel turn. It's kind of interesting that you would have this happen on a go home show instead of the PLE itself. I know, they're in Leon, doesn't matter, but I feel like the impact would be much higher if they did it in a PLE instead of a go home show. But that's kind of interesting having Randy Orton kind of turn heel here. I mean, what? So you're gonna lean into Randy Orton versus John Cena, Like I know there's a Brock Lesnar thing that's coming, but Randy Orton versus Cena at WrestlePalooza or on SmackDown.
I
Like
think we
where do
go. I
you?
think we go with Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes.
Oh, oh, sorry. Yeah, I forgot you mentioned Cody. Yes. Okay. On a SmackDown or WrestlePalooza or
It's probably WrestlePalooza. Yeah.
okay. Huh. Interesting. And are you gonna have Randy have some losses, or just like carry the momentum with some wins? Like how would you map out his heel turn here?
Probably goes after guys. I mean, who else is like an upper mid card? Who's an upper card guy on SmackDown and isn't a part timer? Like
That isn't a part timer. I mean, Kevin Owens is injured still,
Kevin Owens is injured.
so
Cody
yeah,
Rhodes right now is part time, but he's a champion. Logan Paul is part time. I guess Drew McIntyre. He could feud Drew McIntyre. You know, fight him for a few weeks,
yeah.
maybe. Um, Damn, who the hell else? I really
I don't
can't
know,
think of
man.
anyone else. Hey, pull up
I
the roster.
Yeah, pull
Gotta
up the
do
roster.
some reference.
You know what, boys? I think it's time for Randy Orton versus Jimmy Uso. How about that,
Big Jim
boys?
is on maternity leave. Big Jim is on maternity leave, man.
Oh yeah. Okay. I don't know why I mentioned Jimmy
Uh,
Uso on my card. Whatever.
who else, bro?
Everyone
Uh,
is either injured or
yeah.
like Big
I
Jim's on
mean, I
maternity
guess
leave.
maybe Damian Priest. Maybe.
Yeah. Aleister
Yeah,
Black
there's
as
really
well.
no one else.
Well, he's a heel now. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Okay, well, that's my shitty card, man.
We'll see if you get some. I think you're gonna get some points out of the card, and you're still leading. So we'll see what happens on that next episode of this here show. And until then, I suppose, thank you for ordering a blue cheese pizza called probably next week on SmackDown from Grapperinos. And remember, if you're down for some oven baked, fresh, crispy wrestling content, then stop on by Grapperinos and order yourself some content you can grapple with. See you next time, Grapperinos.